right here, through this little gap right here, is the greenhouse. It used to belong to Rodrigo, which he sold to Carlos and Mariel. Today they own it, and I help them operate it. You walk down here, and open this door, and here's the greenhouse. So this is the eastern, what I call the lower half of the greenhouse. All of our lettuce, different kinds of lettuces that we have. These yellow globes are to attract little gnats and aphids and flying insects and things. And down here at the end, we've got these green and white little canopies, because on these tables down here at the end, we've just planted young lettuce from our nursery area, and these plants don't have very much root system yet. And so if the strong sun comes through the greenhouse plastic and hits these plants, they'll wilt. And so we're shading them for the first 3 days or so until they get their roots on them. This is young green butterhead lettuce. This is green oak leaf ready to harvest. There's Nestor back there working on something. Hola, Nestor! And down here, on this side, are 2 of our 4 recirculation tanks that are here. Here's 2 of them. And I've got this station where I got my sink and my indicators where I can see the concentration of fertilizer and the pH. And I'm just getting here in the morning, and so when I look at these indicators, the top 760, that's parts per million, that should be 830. So I got to be putting fertilizer from our concentration tanks into the circulation tanks. And the bottom number, 6.1, is pH, and that should be 5.8. So I need to add some acid to the tanks to drop the pH and get these tanks balanced up, as we say. These are our tanks of the concentrate, the A tank and the B tank. The tank on the left has calcium nitrate, the tank on the right has everything else: phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, magnesium, and trace elements. And these are my other 2 tanks down here. And over here is our nursery area where we germinate our seed on those flood tables. And there goes Nestor. He's another one of the pillars of the greenhouse. And that's the view. So now I'm going to balance up these tanks. Now we're going to go watch the conductivity numbers rise on the meters over there. So here are the meters. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we want 840, 830. Well, there's 830 right there at pH 5.8. So that's really good. I'll drop that pH to 5.7, but 5.8 is right in the acceptable range. So that's good. Now this one here needs to come up in the conductivity from 790. Here it's coming up because I just put the fertilizers in. They're circulating around into these cans here that sample the big tanks behind me. And the sensors are there, and so they're coming up. That's 800 now. The 810. And then it'll be 820. Over here now I'm at 850. That's the plume is hitting at 840. It's bouncing right there. Perfect. And these meters here, 820, these meters here don't have pH meters. They're broken. I have to take the pH meters from the other side and drop them into these cans here to read the pH. But let's look at conductivity. So that's up at 820 and coming up. There's 830. So that's right. And this one here, this big circulation tank, for some reason is always the lowest, is always the one that needs the most replenishment. And so I put more fertilizer into it this morning than the others, but here it's coming up. Now 810, 820, 830, it's perfect. It might go to 840, 850, but it'll drop back down to about 830. So I got 830, 830, 830, and 850. And that 850 is fine. It's a little high, but it's not at all a problem. 850 at pH 5.7. It's about perfect. So I'll just put a little more acid here to drop this to 5.7. At 830 is perfect. 830, this one came up to 840, which is fine. I'm right in my range. So I'll check the pHs on these indicators here on the right by taking out the pH meter here and putting 1 into 3 and 2 into 4. And now the pHs that are in 3 and 4 will read on the meters 1 and 2. So let's see if these pHs go up or down from 5.7. They should be about 5.7, 5.8. That's the amount of acid I put in. They're not changing rapidly, which means they're right in there around 5.7. So I got 840, 830, 830, 20, bouncing on 820, between 820 and 830. In 860, a little high, so I'm going to put, there's my 830, 820, it's bouncing. That's okay. I'm going to put just maybe a half a gallon more of each into this particular circulation tank. And I will be at my numbers, 840, 830 at pH 5.7, 5.8. And I've got the whole greenhouse now, all 6 of the tanks, the 2 above and these 4 down here, balanced at the right conductivity and the right pH. So this water now, from these tanks, has now the correct concentration of fertilizers, the correct pH. It's being pumped by these motors through this 2-inch pipe that's going out to these tables. And then from these little black hoses here, if I look down, these little black hoses have the water coming out of them that go into these tubes and get these little lettuce plants wet. They're the roots. The water's running along the bottom of these tubes and goes down there and drains and recirculates. And that's how we do it. From there it comes back into these tanks right there in that big flow. And then gets recirculated back out. And around we go. I got good numbers and the greenhouse is in balance. And I'll just keep it tuned all day. And we're growing lettuce. The sounds of the greenhouse. Roosters next door. We got the sound of this water draining out of the bottoms of the tubes. Water's draining all the roots there. It's recirculating back to the big tanks. There's a romaine. More romaine, and here's green butterhead. Carlos building a germination room up there, germination chamber. There's a table back there. It doesn't have anything on it. That's open space where we can move plants. When we open up tables and when we take the new seedlings, we need a place to put them. So there's always space in the greenhouse we can move tubes and move plants into. So that'll be occupied fairly soon by something. And part of my job is to come along and check the water flow every day. And that's the correct amount of water. It's the right pressure. A little high, but it's alright. Put that back in the hole here. Send that down the way. There's 2 of these per tube. That goes down to the drainage end. That's a little valve I can control the rate of water coming into the table. We've got these yellow balls with a stickum on them, and there I'm catching moths that are laying eggs that make a caterpillar that attacks the lettuce that I have to spray for all the time. So by getting the adults, they're not laying eggs, and I don't have as much pressure of actual caterpillars on the lettuce because I'm killing the adults before they lay eggs. Catching them on that stickum. We're going to build a germination table here in this area, but now we're not, because we don't want to block the breeze that comes through here. We want the air movement and the ventilation. So we're going to build it way up in the top end up here where Rodrigo used to live. And here we are back where they're planting seeds, and let's go check my numbers on these upper tanks. See if I'm still in balance up here. My fertilizer numbers have dropped already. The lettuce is eating. So I had 830 and now I'm down to 800 and 780. My pHs at 8.5 are still good. I'm going to drop them to 5.7. But this is what happens when the lettuce is eating, is the conductivity numbers go down and the pH numbers come up because of alkalinity that the roots are making. 800, 810, it's bouncing. So I'm going to put some more fertilizer in here and lower the pH, and that's what I do all day, is just keep these numbers in the right range. So here's the corner of the greenhouse that's just behind the 2 middle tanks. And this is an area that we did an experiment with the master blend fertilizer, and it really worked. You can see here a beautiful leaf, beautiful lettuce. All these tables here had the master blend. This is, by the way, my little patch of mint. I picked this mint and take it home and make mint tea from here. This is the area where we did the master blend fertilizer. It really worked, but because of import problems, Carlos wants to stick with what we're already using. Very nice lettuce. This is Monday, the 17th of May 2015. It's Monday. I'm not sure if it's the 17th, but it's Monday, around the 17th. And this is the condition of the lettuce in the greenhouse today. It's all healthy and growing as it should be, as expected under normal conditions of health. Every table, that table there has been harvested. All the tables have the expected growth and health. And these are the tables. Here are the tomatoes. These are the tables up here. And everything healthy and growing as expected. So thank you very much for coming on this tour with me of a day in the life of a hydroponic lettuce grower. While I was managing the growing operations here at the greenhouse, our lettuce was judged best in country by very high-end supermarkets that served sophisticated consumers who were looking for wholesome, clean, green produce for their families. Well, thank you very much and all the best. Bye-bye.